Let's move on to a non-food related pre-show topic.
But we don't have any of those. All we're doing is talking about food today, Lucas.
Jeez. Okay, well, can we let's talk about a camera company?
Yeah, I think we could do that. We have previously talked about Olympus, right? Because Olympus made that curry.
Yeah.
Remember that? And now...
But what do you need to go with your Olympus curry?
You need some rice. And I don't know what the deal is with these Japanese camera companies and their food, but now Sigma is getting into the rice game, and it's pretty big news.
It's actually like a cool deal. I mean, you can't give them a hard time about it, but this is the area where Sigma makes their lenses, and like the whole deal with the area of Japan that they do their stuff in is they need really clean water, and there are these rice fields that also kind of need clean water too. So like in the same area, and they just have these rice fields that aren't being not maintained, but what are reaped? I don't know what the word is for. I'm not like a farmer.
Yeah.
But like that rice needs tending to, and so Sigma's investing back into that part of the land where they build their lenses and have their factories, and they're like, we have money. This is a problem. Let's fix the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's neat that they're investing in their community, and I think I'm trying to remember what the number was, but I mean, it seemed like it was going to create a lot of jobs in the area too.
Make some jobs.
Yeah.
Get the Japanese some rice.
I mean,
there's a dearth of rice in Japan. It's like a real problem.
Really?
And the Japanese don't want that Chinese rice. And so it's like sometimes there isn't enough rice to go around, and it's kind of a big deal. It's too much tourism. If you go to Japan, don't get the rice.
Eating all their rice.
Or if you get rice, don't leave a grain, because that's rude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you gotta consume all of it.
I don't know if we had any rice when we were there, except for the rice that was on the sushi.
I feel like we had it as a side,
occasionally
for some meals. Yeah,
it's because they knew we were foreigners. They didn't want to give us the rice.
Yeah, keeping the rice close to the vest.
I mean, you do what you gotta do.
This looks like it's happening like imminently. I mean, the Sigma Aiju Farm Corporation is scheduled to launch on April 1st, 2026. It's right around the corner.
Don't they have lenses called Aiju lenses?
They do. This is the region of Japan that they're in.
That makes sense.
And I think they're planning on, harvesting the first batch of rice like later this year.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of rice that you will not have access to unless you go to Japan. I'm sure that you can't just buy Japanese rice exported.
Do you think that's a good bucket list item, to go to Japan and eat Sigma rice?
I would love it. If I had the opportunity to go back to Japan and eat Sigma rice, that sounds great. It's north of Fukushima.
Oh, and the other thing is that they're actually going to...
Or it's in Fukushima, it's not north.
They're going to serve this, I mean, I'm sure among other places, but they're also going to serve this at the Sigma employee cafeteria.
Love it. This is fantastic. Yeah. 10 out of 10.
I mean, that's vertical integration right there.
Honestly,
people like to talk about how Apple's vertically integrated,
sure.
Like they make all the stuff, or, like Tesla or whatever,
Yeah, but do they grow the avocados in the
absolutely not.
Apple cafeteria?
Absolutely not. They're not making their own avocado toast.
Yeah, definitely.
Sigma's making their own rice. Get on that level.
Something to aspire to.
Welcome back to the Camera Gear Podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Lucas.
And we're here today to talk about the gear, software, and techniques we use to shoot photos and video.
Do you ever think about how lenses turn the image upside down?
I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Like looking through this 75 1.2 with aperture wide open. One, the entrance pupil is enormous.
Yeah.
And two, the image is upside down.
Interesting.
Optics.
I really like that lens. It's very well built. It's very it's metal construction. It's a satisfying size.
Oh yeah, big fan.
And optically and all that, it's a very good lens.
Very good lens. This is Pro on the side. That's how you know it's good.
I mean, it may be my favorite of the Fuji lenses I've used.
Really?
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that being up there. It'd probably make my top 5. Which I'm not going to go through and update right now.
That's a different show.
Some other day. Probably should do an update on that. We haven't talked about that in a while. I was watching a YouTube video about the GF X50R.
Yeah. I bet you watched more than one video about that.
And there was a guy that was talking about, he was trying to do a comparison between that with the 50 millimeter 3.5 and the X100 it's like 40 megapixels in APS-C with a 23 millimeter lens versus medium format at 50 megapixels but a 3.5 lens. And he was trying to explain crop factors and aperture and depth of field and the difference between the two. And I'm like, I don't think he got that right. And then I was like, do I have an obligation on this podcast to once again talk about depth of field and focal length?
Oh, man.
I'm not saying we do it. I'm right. Not today.
Asking the question.
Not today. But do we need to talk about that again?
I don't know.
I mean, I try not to rehash things because I'm like, people can just go listen to the backlog.
Yeah, but how many people are doing that?
I don't know. I assume all of them.
New listeners all the time.
Yes, we're always getting new listeners. I just assume that people go back and listen to every episode.
Oh, well, if they aren't, they really should. Just the whole catalog.
Yep, just memes on memes.
Probably 175 hours of it.
It's up there, that's for sure. Or maybe, we could as a service to the community.
Yeah,
could rehash entrance pupils.
Maybe we should.
All right, well, I'll put it on the list, I guess.
Sounds good.
But today, people probably don't even know we have segments, Daniel.
Yeah, how long has it been since we've talked about a legendary lens?
Look, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and there are, for those that don't know, there are 3 official sanctioned segments of this podcast, which together form the Triangle of Diffusion.
I forgot about the Triangle of Diffusion.
Is a Tiffin meme. Neither here nor there. Triangle of Diffusion consists of the legendary lens, Lucas's movie corner, and cameras were better when things were worse. These are the 3 official,
totally forgot about the third one,
sanctioned segments of this podcast. There are many other unsanctioned segments.
A lot of unsanctioned things happen on this show.
Photo tips, Lucas's bag, Lucas's film journey, Daniel's L-mount reasons.
Us talking about,
which is actually Daniel's Panasonic corner now, like in food for sure. Yep. Anyways, either way, there are 3 sanctioned segments on this podcast, and today we're gonna go Lucas's movie corner.
All right.
Okay, so
finally back.
Finally.
You're
one
now
of these days,
Triangle Diffusion.
We really need to finish the legendary lenses. I think that
I didn't know that one could finish that.
No, we've talked about this before, Daniel, that there are going to be 100 legendary lenses.
Yeah, and haven't we done like 6?
We've done 14 legendary lenses.
Man,
okay,
that's a
there
long
are
way to
86 more to go. When we finish the legendary lenses, the podcast is over.
The clock's ticking, I guess.
So it's kind
of gotten stuck for a while.
There's a minimum 86 episodes left of this podcast. 85, 87 probably, because we're not covering one today.
Yeah.
So that's like the limit, right? We have to cover all of them somehow. But whenever we eventually get there, the podcast is over. So that's like the ticking clock, right? Whenever you're watching a movie, you usually you need the ticking clock. Got to have something, right? That's like building that tension.
Yep.
That's the ticking clock for this podcast. So if everyone's getting worried, we start like really cranking through those legendary lenses.
Yeah, we hit like 3 in one day.
Yeah. If we hit like 70, 80, start sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
the end of just start looking for new podcasts.
Yeah. End of the show. Yeah. Definitely start looking because, we only got 86 to go. All right. I finally watched 28 Years Later.
Did that take you 28 years to watch that? When did it come out?
No. But I mean, last year sometime, end of last year.
Okay. 28 months.
No, it was like fall last year. I mean,
28 weeks.
Well, that's the second one.
You're right.
But also, I think that 28 Weeks Later doesn't really pertain too much to 28 Years Later. Honestly, you could have skipped 28 Days Later and not really worried about it too much either.
Yeah, so you just leave it a month.
Have you seen any of these movies, Daniel?
No.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was like the big deal with the first one.
Like zombie movies or something.
They're zombie movies, but they're fast zombies. And the rage virus turns you into a zombie in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So real quick
when that happens.
Yeah, you just
it really ruins your day.
Yep, and you just get like a little bit of blood in your eye, in your mouth, whatever. Boom, it's over. Game over. Rage virus. So, Danny Boyle, whom I'm sure we've talked about before. 28 Days Later was like early 2000s.
Okay.
It was one of like the very first, digitally shot movies.
I mean, we may have talked about that on the show.
I think that, like Star Wars, like Attack of the Clones and stuff, I think that was actually the first Star Wars that was shot on digital. Because it wasn't Phantom Menace shot on film. You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Of course I don't.
Anyways,
know.
but
Why
like whenever
even ask?
when they shot those on digital, they used like these like custom camera digital sensor thing.
They got like a Mac Mini on the back of that thing.
That was Slumdog Millionaire, but it was very, very much like super custom for those productions. Yeah. What Danny Boyle wanted to do for the original 28 Days Later was like, what could filmmaking look like if we used a consumer camera, like raw and gritty or whatever. So they shot the first movie on the Canon XL1, which was a mini DVD prosumer camera.
But I mean, otherwise, like it's like a Hollywood level production, right? Like
it looks horrible. It looks like absolute trash. It's like it's 480i.
So
the footage looks about as good as my JVC camera.
But like I'm talking about the rest of the production. Like, was this a low budget production?
28 Days Later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 28 years later, in similar fashion, they wanted to an extent, shoot it with the common camera. And so they shot it on an iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Of course they did.
Which is pretty cool. And so I wanted to talk about that because it's kind of neat. And I know that everyone's already talked about this and we've all moved on, but I finally watched the movie, so now we can talk about it, and too bad.
We've all moved on, but you haven't.
I have not moved on. So this movie was shot in part on an iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Pretty cool.
One of the claimed reasons for this was very similar to the reason we talked about the Creator. They shot the Creator on those FX3s. And one of the reasons that they did and the big deal with the Creator was that this motion picture was like $80 million, not $300 million, but it had all this like CG and blah, blah, blah. And the reason they were able to save so much money is because they had this smaller production. They could take everybody to all of the shoot locations and just shoot everything on location and not have to build sets.
And I mean, they were even like carrying lights around and just they didn't have to do a whole big setup every time they wanted to shoot.
Right. And so they kind of proved this concept. And that's effectively what they did here for 28 years later, except they used iPhones. And they wanted to get these like untouched landscape looks because it happens 28 years later after the rage virus, and the UK has been in isolation for 28 years, and so they have these really gorgeous like green overgrown landscapes in the movie, and they wanted to be able to shoot those without having to drive in like all the trucks and all the gear and drag all this stuff through and be careful about like what's going to be in the shot and don't have tire trucks there, blah 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 blah. And so the concept was like, let's do this with less gear, lighter weight. So what that looked like is like DJI Inspire 3, GoPro Hero 4, a few shots on a Panasonic EVA1, which is a, actual cinema camera. But most of this, a lot of this was shot with the iPhones using this Beast Grip cage. And then they used the Beast Grip depth of field adapter. And what this thing is this monstrous doohickey that you can buy in like EF mount, but for this movie they custom built them in PL mount. Ooh. So you can't even buy the PL mount version. They just built them for the production and numbered them. And there's like so many of these things that they built for the production. But they took the depth of field adapter and they mounted these Mercury 1.5X anamorphics onto the adapter, which is basically a speed booster. But because of how these adapters are built and how they work, it's really limiting to what you can do on the phone with them. And so you basically have to shoot them wide open. They say anything less open than like f2.8 is going to vignette and not look good. Okay. And there's like some really interesting stuff about this. And so I dropped this text from Bscript's website that I kind of wanted to read about these adapters because I think it's like a little wild. But it effectively makes it so that you can adapt a full frame. Well, not full frame. I think they're APS-C lenses or Super 35, the Mercuries. These $10,000 PL anamorphic lenses to an iPhone, but like get the full squeeze and the full depth of field look. So in order to do it, they have this like filter, this focusing screen in the depth of field adapter, which is what effectively magnifies the image. And I'm just gonna read this at you. Okay. Because I thought it was interesting. So the focusing screen combines a diffusion surface with a fine Fresnel pattern. That diffusion layer makes the image recordable and contributes a subtle film-like softness, While the Fresnel structure helps distribute light more evenly across the frame and reduces vignetting, because the smartphone records this small image area at a very high resolution and then magnifies it, the screen's microtexture can sometimes appear in the image as fine grain or structure. The Fresnel pattern can also interact with certain scene details and capture settings, producing moire-like ring pattern artifacts. When visible, this behavior is most noticeable, particularly around bright highlights and transitions between in-focus and out-of-focus areas. Focusing screens are precision parts, but they are still physical components within the natural manufacturing tolerances. Tiny fixed marks or specks can be present in the diffusion layer and may appear in the same position on the screen. When visible, these characteristics are a normal part of the screen-based DOF adapter and most noticeable in bright plane scenes.
Interesting.
And it was like just super obvious in the movie. It's
Really?
like with this, it had this wild look to it. It's very, very bespoke, very like stylistic.
Had a lot of character to it.
Yeah, let's go with that. I think it's just wild that this thing exists.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, let's find a way to really focus in the light and like do this wild magnification so that it works with a high resolution phone sensor.
The cage is $150. The adapter is $300. They point out in their description that since the adapter is for EF, you can adapt EF to so many different things. And like they do mention PL. So even if you're not special like these guys, you can still use this with PL. You just need an EF to PL adapter.
Yep.
Make it even bigger.
Wild. So I thought that was all crazy. So these iPhone rigs are, you got the $10,000 lens, you got the $300 adapter, plus the grip, plus the phone. I mean, it's still like $15,000 cameras for the A cams on these things.
You mentioned that they wanted it to be lighter, but I'm looking at these pictures that you have here, and they've got like what looks like 20 of them sitting there.
Okay, so that's a different thing.
Okay,
but it's lighter in the sense that it's about as light as like a rigged out mirrorless camera.
Yeah,
they seem to have used the Blackmagic camera app, which is kind of fun.
Not that surprising. Yes.
That's cool. Anyways, the other thing that they did, which is kind of one of the things I want to talk about, kind of more extrapolated, is they would take like up to 30 iPhones and they would put them in a semicircle on this like board or whatever, and they would link them all to shoot at once, and they would shoot these like 180 shots, and during certain action sequences you would like see the thing happen, and then they would rotate around the subject by like switching from camera to camera to camera and do this like pivot thing, and it's just wild.
So but they're capturing all that at once rather than like filming the scene 3 times.
And so they had like multiple rigs of different variations but at most like 30 and then less and less. So they have so many iPhones and so many of these things.
I always just wonder like the logistics of dealing with all this in terms of like how do you keep them all charged? How do you get footage off of them? What do you do whenever they need like there's an iOS update? Like, I mean, it just seems like a pain.
It does seem like a lot. I mean, don't update iOS and use drives.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it seems that reasons like this are why they brought Genlock to the 17 Pro.
Yeah,
and
things like the Blackmagic camera dock.
And it makes sense, right? These are ways that people are using phones in productions, and that's kind of one of the things I wanted to ask is like, there's more to talk about here, but like, what does this mean for bringing options to cinema? Because a lot of it's, you think that, oh, you need a Venice or you need an Alexa or you have to have all these huge budgets. But I think that what those big budgets bring is more like, I can use any camera now, or I can use 50 iPhone cameras. And now I have options. And so what can I use with all of the camera tools at my disposal to make an image that meets the creative vision?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it definitely enables new things. Like, it's also so much smaller. You can get it into tight spaces and use like a crash cam. I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff you could use an iPhone for that you wouldn't use your, Venice or Alexa for. So
with the Genlock and all the things that they're adding to iOS for these pro video applications that are more than just, oh, this was shot on iPhone. What do you think this means for Hollywood productions where we're seeing more stuff like this?
It's still hard. I'm curious what you think too, but it's hard for me to tell because it still feels like it's a novelty when people do it, and it feels like people are choosing to do it for like a stylistic reason, but it doesn't feel as much to me like oh, I like the way the iPhone looks. It feels more like they want, I mean, honestly, it feels like they want the attention of having used an iPhone. Like look what we did with this minimal phone, and like they kind of get attention for that. And I understand the argument, for being able to move quicker, lighter setup, having a bunch of them, like those are reasons. But I just wonder, especially knowing that this guy's first movie was kind of shot on like a similarly bad camera. It kind of makes me wonder if he's just like a masochist a little bit and likes the idea of shooting on like a very limited setup, rather than like a real Hollywood camera. And I've kind of had that feeling for all of the stuff I've seen that's been, shot on iPhone. But I mean, it is legitimately getting better. So I don't know.
It's not all of his movies. I mean, a lot of his movies look different. They have actual cinema camera kind of things. I think that it's interesting to see more filmmakers use iPhones in this way, or even like other smartphones. But they're leaning towards iPhone because Apple's like really gearing for these.
I mean, Apple's clearly like gunning for this market.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like if you're going to build, multi-camera rigs, or get real cute or clever with how you want to shoot something, it seems like either building a custom app platform thing or using the apps that are there. And there's more and more options to like rig out and use iPhones in this way that I don't think you could. It's just would be harder with even mirrorless cameras, I think. So I'm curious to see how other people use like phones in this way in filmmaking. I think that it can be really interesting. I do think that I'm curious if it means something for indie films in a particular way of, less concerned about shooting on an iPhone.
Sure.
Though I think that, they did so much here. Like these rigs, they had the beast cage, they had the depth of field adapter, they have like handles, rails, PL lenses, external drives, matte box. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like,
this doesn't really feel like it's selling you on the idea that like, oh, it's more approachable. Like a student can just use their iPhone. Like, I mean, sure you could, but that's not what they did here.
Sure. Well, it's the, if you ignore the lens, everything that went into building this thing, you could do with, I don't know, an S5 II or something, or an FX30, and it would be just as small, just as capable, but with like a bigger sensor, lower noise, and maybe some more like cheaper lens options.
Yeah.
So I think that with how iPhones are being used, especially for like these A-cam shots, there's maybe not as much reason to do that over something like an FX30. But I do think it's interesting to consider that like you don't even need to do all that.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like it's one step closer to literally being able to use, like, pull your iPhone out of the box and use it as is to make a movie.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting conversation to see how much is and are phones democratizing filmmaking in that way versus, I don't know, is it just more unobtainable because it's like, yeah, you have the phone, but you also need $20,000 of other gear in order to actually make this look like it looks.
Yeah. I do think it gives some legitimacy to Apple putting so much into this. I mean, there's clearly a market for people doing this stuff, so it makes sense that they've done features like Gen Lock and all that. I mean, it seems like so far that's working out for them.
Yeah, so far. So I thought the movie looked pretty interesting. It was certainly stylistic, and honestly, it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't bad. I think I gave it a number of stars on Letterboxd.
I bet you did rate it on Letterboxd.
I don't remember what I rated it though. I probably gave it 4 stars. That feels like something I would do.
I wonder what it was like dealing with the footage for 30 cameras. I mean, I guess we've done some music video shoots where we've kind of set up our multicam that way, but it sounds crazy.
I bet that was a very specific situation. And also they didn't have Gen Lock at the time whenever they shot this, so that was probably annoying.
Maybe. I mean,
also, what did they do with all those iPhones?
Yeah, we got them lying around somewhere. Do you think they got the orange ones?
No, these are 15 Pro Maxes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 2 versions ago.
Man, imagine if they used the 17.
They couldn't even shoot RAW.
Crazy.
RAW and Gen Lock, man. There's more more
I would think stuff
possibilities.
I would think stuff like the Blackmagic camera dock would be really valuable for this type of filmmaking too, with being able to get like an SDI out to monitor it and stuff, because those also seem like issues with the iPhone.
I wonder when it will get to the point where I don't think this felt so much like a stunt. They were kind of hiding the fact that they were shooting on iPhones a little bit during production, trying to like mask it a little bit. But then they did all these features afterwards. They were like, we shot this on an iPhone and blah, blah, blah. And I don't expect that Apple like contributed any money for like shot on iPhone or whatever. So
you don't think so?
I doubt it. I think that it was a specific choice because of how the first one was shot. And it was like a creative look choice, which makes sense. I just, to an extent, it also kind of feels like a publicity stunt. And I don't know when we get to the point where shooting movies on an iPhone is not a stunt. It's just something you do.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, because nobody would really, like the creator being shot on, was it an FX3 or an FX30?
FX3.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way that if you hear somebody shot a movie on an FX3, you're like, oh, that's interesting. They didn't use an Arri Alexa, but it's not like that remarkable. Like we talked about it on the show, but it's not that big of a deal. But it still feels like iPhone, you immediately have all these questions like, oh, how'd they do it? Why'd they do it that way? Yeah, I'm curious to see if it gets to more mainstream in that way.
I think it does. Like it has to. But like, what's the over-under, Daniel? Or is it the iPhone 20? When are they going to switch to year numbers?
They have to at some point, right?
Is it like 26 this year? Is it going to happen?
They could. I'm surprised they didn't last year when they switched the OS version.
Are we talking like 2030, 2035?
No,
when does this happen?
I don't think it's that far away. I think maybe a couple of years.
It's like
2028.
2028.
Yeah.
Movies are just shot on iPhone. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I could see it. Maybe not like all of them, not like big Hollywood blockbusters, but more, more of them than are now.
They need to ship an iPhone with a PL mount.
Just from Apple.
Yep.
With the PL mount.
Like you can get the Pro or the Pro Max or the Pro PL.
Pro PL?
Pro Max PL.
Oh, man. Can you imagine all the non-camera, tech people talking about that? They wouldn't have a clue what to do with that thing.
Jeez, they're like, I don't even know what that means, and what's the difference between PL and LPL, and these lenses are so expensive, and blah, blah, blah.
Who's going to want this $10,000 lens on their iPhone?
And they're all going to buy Cook lenses to try out.
Oh, yeah. They get given the Cook lenses.
They drop test it with the Cook lens on there.
Of course, yeah. Jerry rig everything. He'll try scratching the lens.
Perfect. Love all of it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Disaster.
Yeah.
If you'd like to support the Camera Gear podcast, you can subscribe to us on Patreon. It's only $3 a month, and you'll get early access to episodes, longer pre-shows, and occasional bonus content like written reviews of gear or maybe some photos we've taken on one of our recent adventures. This really does help us pay the bills and keeps this show running, and we'd love to have your support. You can find out more at patreon.com/cameragearpodcast, or there's also a link in the description for this episode. Thanks for listening, and now back to the show.
Daniel, I don't even know how to start this next topic.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. We've discussed on the show a few times that we do weekly broadcast stuff using a lot of Blackmagic gear for a church, ironically. And we've had a mobile camera setup for a long time. So basically a camera with a Terra deck on it that can wirelessly transmit video. And that way you can get into tighter spaces. You can have somebody like walking around like on a stage or, out in a crowd or whatever, and like get some cool shots. We've had that for a long time, and we've kind of been looking at some upgrades set up, and the question kind of came up, if we needed to build a new mobile camera, like how would we do it? Because the one that we have, was kind of hastily put together back in 2020, and we sort of used what we had on hand and then upgraded it over time, upgraded parts of it over time to solve problems.
Right.
But it's kind of interesting to think like if you could start over from the ground up, I mean, biggest question being like, what camera would you pick? But also just kind of in general, what does that setup look like?
Yeah.
And we kind of had gotten some homework to sort of figure this out, but I thought it might be an interesting show topic.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. I think it's actually weirdly hard to pick a new camera for this situation. Currently, the mobile rig we're using is an A7 III, and it has a EF to E adapter, and we're using a Canon EF 24 to 105
Yep.
f4 lens.
Yep.
None of those decisions I would have made on purpose.
Yeah, I mean that was all just what we had on hand. We've used a couple of different Teradecks on it over time. Right now we have a Teradek Bolt 6. We needed to move to 6 gigahertz because we were getting a lot of interference at the lower bands. And we also, I think when we started, we were powering the Teradek off of NPF, and we've since switched to using small rig V-mount batteries to power it, which is way more reliable. That's been a lot better.
Then undervolting problems, and we just get dropouts under low battery conditions.
Yeah. And we power the camera with a dummy battery too.
Yeah.
And so we have that whole setup, and I don't know, where do you want to start?
We're staring down the move to 4K broadcast, and we want something that can deliver 4K and
just at 30 frames per second.
At 30 frames per second, be reasonably light. And I honestly, there's like no good cameras for this. There's no cameras on the market that would work.
Yeah, the weight is like a pretty important factor, just because we have it's not just you or me running this. It's volunteers and people of varying strength levels, and also they're having to hold the camera for a long time. So you can't have like a 10-pound camera rig for this.
Right.
Right now the V-mount battery is like on the camera, and so that adds weight. And so that's kind of a limiting factor. The 4K 30 is a limiting factor. One of
the things I was struggling with was, for cameras where you are going to use it for broadcast in this way, are you getting the same quality output over the HDMI as you are when you record? Like, are they actually outputting in standby the same full record quality?
Yeah, that's a valid question to ask.
And it's a hard spec to find.
Yeah, or do you need to start recording on the camera? I don't know. It's kind of a good question if that changes or not.
And if you have a Sony camera and you're shooting in 4K, does the screen turn off whenever you're recording and you have HDMI plugged in?
Exactly, because we don't have a separate monitor on this thing, again, for weight reasons.
So, and then, there's like weight, the output and standby recording quality, can it do 4K? How good is the stabilization for handheld shots? Is it a tilt versus a flip screen? Because everyone's going to be behind the camera. So does it having a flip out screen make it more problematic to use?
Bit of a liability.
Like, is it in the way? Is it going to get caught on something? Do you avoid Sony completely because of the 4K problem and the screen blackout?
Yeah, I don't know if they all have that problem.
I don't know. So, when considering color matching, and we're matching to Ursa's, we've been able to mostly get the Sony stuff to look kind of close enough, but there's still some finessing to try to make that all work. And so there's a matter of, if we wanted it to truly match and make our life easier, shooting with Blackmagic cameras kind of makes the most sense. But doing something like a 6K Pro or a 6K Cine would be so heavy. Yeah. It'd be like a pound heavier than any other option.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised looking at the weight of those things, because the 6K Pro G2 has a really nice back screen, and it tilts, which is nice. In a lot of respects, and I think the G2 is APS-C EF mount, which would be cool, because we could use that 24 to 105.
Yep.
And then there's the 6K Cine, which is L mount. I didn't look up the weight of the Cine, but the 4K G2, it was easily a pound heavier than what we're using now, which is substantial.
Yeah, I think that those have to be on the table, because I think that they are made for this kind of application, and the color would match, but it's maybe a challenging option. I don't like things like autofocus don't really matter here. Everything's manually focused.
Yep.
So it's more of a stabilization thing. And what we found on the Sonys is you can either use lens stabilization on the EF lens, or you can use IBIS in the body. And I've toyed with both, and it just kind of doesn't matter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you can't use both together?
It can't do it simultaneously. Whenever you turn the lens IS on that camera, it turns off stable shot on the Sony.
Must be a fluke of the adapter or something.
Something like that. Yeah, that's typical with most cameras, right? If you have a stabilized lens and IBIS in the camera, and you're not using OEM with OEM,
I guess that's
it
true.
Usually won't do the dual IS thing.
That's true.
You kind of have to just do one or the other. So
fair.
And so I think that, something like a Blackmagic with that 24-105 with lens stabilization would be totally acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the shaky footage isn't really a problem for how these are typically used. A lot of times it's kind of just a quick shot, and it's not really that.
And the added weight would actually probably help it out too. So I think that has to be on the table. I think that we have to consider Sony, but picking the right Sony seems tough.
There are a lot of Sonys.
I think that the FX30 might be like, okay.
I thought it was an interesting option because on the A7 III, you can...
so I'm thinking the FX20. I think I like the FX30 more than the FX20.
I can barely remember what the FX20 has, but...
It's an A7 IV, but in an FX body.
When we use the A7 III, we have a button set to the crop mode where it crops it to APS-C.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that pretty often because on the 24-105, if you crop in, like that gives you a pretty good, tight shot. And I could see us getting away with having APS-C only and even just using the same 24-105.
We shoot at 24 enough, though, to get those wide shots, that would be a little restrictive.
A little limiting.
I think that if it didn't defocus when you zoomed, the Tamron 17-70 on the FX30 would be really, really interesting.
That's true.
But it does that whole...
Because the 17-70 would basically be a 24-105 full frame.
Right. I think there's some Sigma options that one could entertain that are within that range. That would be pretty interesting. So,
I mean, nice thing about the FX30 is it's probably a little bit lighter than some of its other choices.
Could go FX20, and that's full frame. But then you have to deal with all the jello.
All the jello.
Do you think anyone would notice? The rolling shutter on an A7 III is what, like 20 milliseconds, 25 milliseconds, something like that?
I don't think we shoot fast motion often enough for people to really pick up on it.
It hasn't been a problem to date. And despite how much I disdain jello in footage, I think that the A7 III isn't any worse than an A7 IV. And so I think that an FX20 is probably a very viable option.
That's interesting.
Is FX20 or FX2? I'm getting it wrong.
I think it's FX2.
FX2. Actually. Sorry, I'm calling it
the
wrong.
one that's like 2,500-ish.
Yeah, I'm calling it the wrong thing. An FX2.
Okay.
$2,700. For $2,200, one could consider a ZR.
Yeah. The Nikon angle is interesting. We would have to get a new lens.
It's got that big old screen on the back.
It does, which could be ideal, but it doesn't have a full-size HDMI, which is really frustrating.
It would break so fast.
Well, we currently, like the A7 III doesn't have full-size HDMI.
I guess that's true.
It has a micro.
It would be such a huge upgrade, Daniel, to get a full-size HDMI.
It would. That'd be really nice.
You know what camera supports all of these codecs and has a really fast readout sensor and a full-size HDMI?
What's that?
An XH2S.
The color matching on the XH2S might be interesting. We would probably have to figure out how to apply a LUT in the workflow.
I think you could totally do it. I mean, you just get the right film simulation and just make those adjustments as needed.
So I do think APS-C is an interesting choice for this because of the weight concerns. Just because you can get a APS-C lens that's so much lighter than these full frame options. I mean, the obvious downside, I think, is gathering light, which isn't...
I don't think that would be too much of an issue.
It's not a huge problem with where we typically shoot this thing. But I mean, sometimes you do end up cranking the ISO pretty high, and you would definitely be cranking it up on the APS-C.
That's true.
What lens would you go with if you were doing that?
If I was doing APS-C, oh boy, it would be tough. I mean, there's a few decent Sigma options out there. They're all fairly quick, but I think you would probably end up in an 18-50.
I was going to say 16-80 f4.
That would be, if you were on a Fuji, yeah. On the Fuji, 16-80 f4 would be the choice because you couldn't do a 17-70.
Yeah, because of the defocusing.
Yeah, and I think that the 16-55 is too short.
Yeah. Yeah, I think any 50 ending on APS-C is really pushing it because if anything, full frame 105, I often want to get a little tighter than that. So
Yeah.
Kind of limiting.
Yeah. So that's probably where one would land, would be the 16 to 80 if doing Fuji. I think that the XH2S is probably a really interesting option, but not where we end up.
Yeah, I could see that. It's kind of it's an odd choice.
It is an odd choice.
Maybe a hard sell.
So Sony would be FX2, FX30. It may be a used A7 IV if we hate ourselves. Blackmagic would be probably the 6K Pro 2. Pro regular. Or the G2.
Yeah,
6K
I would think it'd be a
G2 maybe.
6K Pro G2. I don't, because I just don't think, I think using APS-C lenses probably makes more sense. Using EF makes more sense. Having L mount for that, L mount lenses aren't cheap.
No.
Kind of adds a lot of cost for maybe not a lot of benefit.
Yeah. I think that while the Nikon ZR has a giant screen on the back, which would be super handy for this, we're not shooting any RAW or anything. So you could do a Nikon Z6, and that has a full-size HDMI and an EVF.
Interesting. And it's the partially stacked sensor, right?
And it's partially stacked sensor. Yeah. So I think the Z6 Mark III is actually a pretty interesting option. It's just how good can you balance that Nikon footage?
Yeah.
Also, I don't quite know what Nikon lenses would be perfect for this kind of application. Obviously, you could just get a 24 to 105.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably like the good default option.
Sure.
That may be better. It's nice that Nikon has those lighter and smaller lenses, because that might be beneficial for something like this.
I mean, you could get the Tamron 35 to 150, but then you're going to have that zoom problem. Get the Samyang version. Do they make that for Z mount, or did Nikon sue them also?
I don't know if they do or not. They definitely make the Samyang for E and L, but I don't know if they make it for Z.
Interesting.
By the way, you might think that we would look at Lumix, because I really like Lumix, and also we have a lot of those Lumix cameras and lenses lying around.
Nikon makes a 24 to 120 f4.
I think it's a power zoom into it, isn't it?
I don't know if that one's a power zoom, but they do have a power zoom that has a similar range. I mean, that would be 24 to 120, Daniel. And it's $1,000. Z6 Mark III with 24 to 120. That's the answer.
There you go.
I don't even think we need to talk about whatever garbage Lumix makes.
Tell me why we wouldn't look at a Lumix.
Look, the delay on the screen is so bad over HDMI. I don't know if it would matter so much for broadcast.
I think it would. I think it would matter. I think that's the problem.
Well, like, they would be on the shot, and then the person who's directing would see it with a 1 second delay, which they're already probably seeing it with a delay over the terror.
That's not the problem. The problem, though, is when you broadcast it, like when it gets to YouTube.
You're gonna have lip sync problems.
That Lumix shot is going to be like a full half-second delayed from whatever the person's saying. Like that's probably like a total no-go for that one reason, which is really frustrating.
I guess you'd have to delay all the other cameras.
Yeah, which is
have it.
Yeah. That's. I'm so frustrated that Lumix hasn't fixed that issue, because all the other camera companies can figure it out. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, the screen delay on the Lumix cameras is horrid.
I don't think you see it on the camera.
No, you don't see it on the camera.
Monitor. You absolutely see it.
Anything over HDMI. I've looked into it, and there are some things that you can do to improve it.
Oh, really?
And as far as making changes to some of the record modes and detection stuff, I would say
meant to look that up. Update
the firmware and then check some of those settings and see if it gets better enough to be usable. But even still, like, I've seen videos where people did that, and then like they show the monitor and they show the Lumix, and it's still not. It's so noticeable. It's so weird. Otherwise, I think Lumix has a lot of cameras that would be good potential options for this, but that just makes it a no-go. It's such a deal breaker of a feature. Like, I don't for like even a lot of the stuff that we do, where it's I need to monitor all the cameras in one location, and I'm looking at two feeds and one of them is off. Yeah, I mean, that's just annoying. But we're recording everything into the cameras. It's not a problem. Whereas for something like this, like, people are going to be seeing the HDMI feed, so it's a problem. I mean, if you're recording to a Ninja, it's a problem. Yeah. Well, maybe you can, but you can delay that. Yeah, you'll sync audio or whatever in post and that sort of thing. I mean, that feels like the kind of thing where it's such a problem that they should just like stop everything and fix it. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of surprising that they haven't. Makes you wonder what the deal is with that. I don't know, man. Because like another camera that I would have maybe thought about through this was something like a BS1H. That would be interesting. That would actually be really interesting. I guess the problem with it is you need a monitor, but
stuff like
Is
that.
the monitor delay as bad on those older
Well,
Lumixes?
I don't know if it is or not. I think it's always been a problem, but I'd sure be questioning it, knowing that it happens on the new ones.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What about Canon?
Canon's an interesting option. I think that matching the footage off the Canon would be challenging because Canon kind of just has that Canon look.
Yeah, a little warm.
I do think it would look good. It just might be a little more challenging than just picking a picture profile on Sony and then just going to town on the knee and the gamma and all the there's so many freaking settings, man.
Yeah.
Like you can mostly get the Sony there. It's a little challenging, but you can get it there. I don't know how much you could get it there on the Canon. But I mean, something like a C70 or a C80 would just be heavy.
Yeah, that'd be really heavy.
Something like an R6 II or an R6 III might be decent, but I don't know if you'd run into overheating issues just broadcasting that on standby. That might be it. Probably the R6 II might be a challenge. R6 III might be okay. M50 could be interesting. That's really small. These are all flip screens, though, not tilt screens. So maybe that's kind of a problem.
The R7 may be a good option, too.
Sure, that would be a good
like
APS-C
high-end
option.
APS-C.
Yeah. I mean, if you had really wanted to spend the money, getting the Canon 24 to 105 f2.8 would be a really interesting option. I don't think we need anything that fast.
Yeah.
And it's huge and heavy.
Yeah,
but it's a video lens.
We're using a f4, 24 to 105 now, and I think we do really like the low depth of field shots, but also you can go too low on stuff like that, and it'd be really hard for people to pull focus.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think we need a $2,500 camera. Is kind of some of the way in here that going with something like an FX30 or most of these are over even a 6K Pro G2 is going to be over $2,000.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not an unreasonable price to pay. Don't forget that the Teradek setup is like minimum $2,800.
Sure.
And you need a lens and stuff. So I mean, the camera's not like a huge percentage of the cost.
Honestly, it would be the only Nikon in the whole setup, and maybe that's a problem. But I really like the Z6 III with the 24 to 200.
It's an interesting idea.
Like it's a nice. Or so not 24 to 200. The 24 to 120.
Yeah.
There is a 24 to 200, but it's a variable aperture zoom, which I don't really love it for that situation.
I wonder if those Nikons have a crop mode. I bet they do. Most cameras seem to have that.
Most cameras seem to have it. Yeah. So
it's an interesting idea.
It is an interesting idea. I don't know if anyone else is making a 24 to 120, honestly. I don't think Canon makes a 24 to 120. I don't think Sigma makes a 24 to 120.
It's an interesting range. I mean, it's kind of like the 35 to 150 is just, shifted a little bit wider, which would be good for what we do.
Sure, it would be good for what we do. I mean, it's like a 24 to 105 with more range.
I wonder how heavy that setup would be.
It would probably be somewhere in the order of 3 pounds. I don't think it would be much heavier than what we're currently doing. I mean, a Nikon Z6 III weighs what, like 2 pounds, something like that?
Yeah.
What would it be, like 1,000 grams? That 24 to 120 is 630 grams.
Yeah,
1.4
pounds. That's really light, actually. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. So, I mean, you're looking at under 4 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, it's going to be right in line with any other option.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not bad.
I think I like that as a choice. I like the XH2S as a choice, but I think the lenses get a little goofy. We'd have to hunt down for just the perfect lens for that.
I do think, I mean, doesn't Fuji make a something that ends at 120? Don't they make a video lens like that?
They do make a video lens like that. I forgot about that lens.
I can't remember what the actual range of it is.
You could get one of those MK lenses that are like super crazy. There is an XF power zoom.
16 to 120.
And that's an F4?
Yeah. Oh, 18. Sorry, it's 18 to 120.
18 to 120. Honestly,
it is power zoom, which is kind of cool.
That's kind of perfect. I forgot about that lens. Yeah. That one shipped with the XH2S whenever it came out. You know what, Daniel? Put that one on the table. XH2S with the 18 to 120 PZ F4.
I feel like, and that lens weighs a pound, which is pretty light. I feel like the problem that Fuji has is that I think it can be hard to get people to take it seriously for this type of work because it has such a perception as being like a vibe cam, film simulation, that kind of thing.
I don't understand. It literally has film in the name.
It does.
I mean, it doesn't have broadcast in the name, but whatever.
I mean, just look at the GFX Eterna as a cinema camera. Like, I feel like that's kind of how people view Fuji, is like it's all like bespoke and different and weird, and I don't know.
We've shot a lot of produced content with Fuji cameras.
I'm not saying that
you just point to our library of work and say, does this look bad to you?
I'm not saying Fuji's bad. I'm saying that it can be hard to sell to people who make decisions compared to something like a Sony.
Because it doesn't say Sony on it.
Yeah.
Or Blackmagic.
It's a real thing.
Blackmagic cameras say Blackmagic on them.
Yes, they do.
Like they just say like Blackmagic.
Blackmagic Design.
That's a long name. It's a long name, Daniel.
I've been trying to sell you on the idea of lightening up this rig by putting the battery in the Teradek off camera, and you're not having any of that.
I just don't understand it. You're like, well, Daniel, I don't know why you call me Daniel. Like, Daniel, my name's Lucas, for one.
That's the first thing that's confusing about it.
First of all, get my name right. Second thing, you're like, let's put it in a backpack or a fanny pack or a chest pack or some sort of situation.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you had one of those, like, those military Velcro vest things, and you could just like Velcro it to your chest.
What about the Olympus photo pocket?
Sure, an Olympus photo pocket, something. Like you put the Teradek and you put the battery in that, and then you run cables, an HDMI cable and a power cable to each other on those things, and then to the camera. Like, why not just do that?
Yeah.
And I don't think you understand how much of a problem this would be for me.
I just don't understand why.
Okay, like I've explained this to you before. I'm going to explain it again.
Okay.
Do you remember, like, the early 2000s? You had an iPod and you had wired headphones.
Yep.
And inevitably, those headphones would get caught on something and they would get yanked out of your ears.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Just a great life experience.
That is this situation. Without fail, there will be a time somewhere in there where a guitar, a drumstick, a wall, a light stand is going to get caught on that cable, and it is going to rip the camera out of hands, or batteries out of pockets, or everything's going to come unplugged, or ports are going to get damaged, and it's just going to go flying everywhere, and it will be me, because it's absolutely going to be me that happens to, and I'm like, sure, we can give it a go. I just think it's a bad idea.
Yeah. It's just, we have so many constraints with this whole setup of like the weight and, needing to power it and like all these things. And yeah, it's hard to find the right thing when you have all those various things to consider.
It's challenging. I think the 6K Pro G2, XH2S, weirdly enough, any of the Canons on R6 II, if it doesn't overheat. I don't know how good those things are on standby. On R7 would be interesting. I just don't know what lens for the Canon. I really like the Z6 II or the Z6 III option. I don't know if the Z6 II has full-size HDMI, but really, I mean, you can probably get a good deal.
Full-size HDMI is not a deal breaker because the current one doesn't have it. It would be nice to get full-size, though.
You could probably get a good deal on a Z6 II. That would be a pretty decent option, in my opinion. Or like an FX2.
Yeah. A lot of good choices.
FX2, you can just bolt things to the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to have a cage. Like, saves the cage weight.
That is the advantage of those Sony Cinema options, is that I think they're pretty small and lightweight compared to, some of the, especially compared to something like Blackmagic. The FX2 is going to probably weigh less, I would assume.
I guess the RF 24-105 is the answer. Like, that would just be the lens you get. That one's pretty small. That would save quite a bit of weight.
Wait, what would you get?
The RF 24-105.
For what?
For a Canon option.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, it'd be expensive. But yeah.
It's like $1,400. It's not any more expensive than any of these other options. I mean, so most of them are like $1,000, right? If you're doing the Fuji or you're doing the Nikon 24-120, those are all about $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
It's like a little more, but it would be.
That'd be better than using an adapter for the EF lens.
Oh, for sure. We need to get away from the adapter. That's my opinion.
That's using up weight.
Just all that weight.
Honestly, the Canon 24-105 we're using, I can't remember exactly what the weight is, but it's a pretty heavy lens.
Yeah, that lens is not particularly light. That was one of the nice things about the RF lenses and all the switched to RF. One, the sharpness, and then two, just getting that weight down.
Yeah.
Though they all look huge. I don't know if every time I see this lens is nope, that's package weight, 700 grams, 1.5 pounds.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Every time I see an RF camera, and with the lens on it, the lens looks like a Canon.
Yeah.
Not like it looks like a Canon camera. It's just like looks like the barrel of a Canon, because all of those Canon lenses have that really fat, round, just look to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're so distinct, and I don't know if it's the size of the image circle or what, but I don't know. They all just look stocky.
Yeah, I agree.
Very stout.
I think part of it though is that a lot of times I think they are shorter than maybe some other lenses,
Sure.
so like the proportions are kind of weird.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't like the look. I think it looks real cool.
Yeah.
Got that big old lens on there.
I don't know why I can't get as excited about a Canon option for this.
Yeah. I mean, it would be the most ergonomic. Maybe people would love it more, Daniel. Their hands wouldn't hurt from holding it.
That's true.
Because of the ergonomics. I think that's a really good selling point.
Maybe.
Does the R6 II have a full-size HDMI? I know you don't care, Dennis, but I mean, like, we don't need a full-size HDMI.
But it would be nice. I agree, it would be nice.
Boy, it would be nice.
Right now we're using a cage with a HDMI clamp to kind of hold it in place.
Which is something that I think we would have to continue to do. I don't know if there's something that would work like that on an FX30 or an FX2. The R6 Mark II does not feature a full-size HDMI.
Downside.
I mean, if you had to pick right now, Daniel, what are you doing?
Good question. Your Nikon option, I think, is really interesting. I mean, it's hard for me to not say FX30 or FX2 just because I feel like it's the closest like drop-in thing to our current setup. But I just want to go with something else. Like I don't love the Sonys because of the 4K limitations.
I think that we could make S-Cinetone match those Blackmagic cameras.
Yeah, I mean,
with some work.
I do think the Sony is probably the easiest to match.
Mm-hmm.
The Nikon to me feels like it has the most risks in terms of I just don't know what they provide as far as picture profile adjustment options.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm gonna have to go visit my father and borrow his Nikon.
Good point. Good point.
And just start pressing buttons.
I do think we have the ability in the Blackmagic stuff to set a LUT on any of those inputs. So
that's true.
We could always do it with a LUT.
We could do that. I don't know if you can do LUT. I know that like the Z6 III has the whole LUT. I guess LUT Lab is Nike, is Lumix, but the equivalent of a LUT Lab. Though I don't know if you can just broadcast that over the HDMI.
Yeah,
I know that that's a limitation on the Fuji. So maybe that's something to look into. But yeah, we could. I mean, even if you wanted to just do it in camera, and have it just come off in the broadcast feed, that'd be interesting.
If we could get the Blackmagics to the Blackmagic Pocket to work weight wise, I'd be happiest with that just because I feel like it's the most pro camera of the set in terms of like kind of being made for this stuff, matching perfectly with the other cameras, and it has a really large screen that's a tilt screen, which most of these other ones don't have.
I think that the screen is a big advantage. The fact that it operates the same as all the other cameras is a nice to have. And I honestly kind of just trust it for this workflow a little more than using just a typical mirrorless camera. It's kind of maybe more built for this kind of thing.
Yeah, it feels like it might hold up better. I don't know.
So I think we have to lay it out, do the actual weights, and then make a decision from there.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
And we're just going to pick the Nikon because, you know what? At the end of the day, despite all the camera conversations that we have, Nikon's just always the answer.
That's it for the show today. Thanks for joining us. And if you liked it, tell a friend so they can check it out too. You can find out more about the show at www.cameragearpodcast.com. And you can find us on Twitter @CameraGearPod. We'll be back with more next week.